What's up, guys? So today we're going to continue our suspension. Seems like forever now, but we're almost there. Now I couldn't help myself and I put some of the arms together, but I'll show you what I did. So I ended up putting the rear upper control arm on, the traction control arm, the tow arm. Last time you guys saw how I put the rear lower control arm over here. We still have to adjust it. Everything's pretty much loose, so that way we can adjust it once it's in the car. But yeah, so I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I didn't want to pretty much bore you guys, but we got our knuckle here, and this is the one that allows us to use a double caliper, so that's gonna be exciting. And today we're gonna put these things together. Let's get started. It's just a little bit of some R15 rust remover, just at the solvent solution that we were using before, and just let it sit for about a day. I cleaned off the threads. They're pretty grimy, and took all the oil out with some of that instant degreaser. And now let's see how they came out. All right, so here it is now. Not so clear. It's pretty black now. So if I move this around, you can see how well the rust got converted. I'm pretty happy about that. I'm just gonna grab some gloves and rinse these puppies out. Then we have some hardware. So what I ended up doing is I added some of self-etch primer from R15 as well. And I just made a bunch of holes so I can put the threads through. I didn't want to paint the threads, so I'm just doing a light spray on primer just to give it a little bit more coverage. Then I'm going to go back and put some of this Chassis Coat Black, again from R15. Seems to last. So for this job, you're probably going to need a 19mm socket, 17mm socket, 21mm socket. That's really just for the lug nuts. You're gonna see this, it's like a cap, there's a cotter pin. This right here is for the struts, so don't worry too much about that right now. The washer that we got before, there's new parts here. The cap, these washers are for the axles, the hubs, where we put the extended lug nuts. So that's gonna be good. Our brand new, well not brand new, but refurbished axle, beautiful. And we got some new lug nuts. So I'm gonna need a persuasion tool, some scissors, or really just to open these bags, torque wrench, a long one for high torque, and just a wrench. Oh, and don't forget your Loctite. So moving on to the suspension. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I couldn't help myself and I just put the suspension arms together. All I really did was just wipe them out, more or less. Cleaned off any of the sand or anything like that. These are pretty good, actually. They've been on the car for about 3 years. They've been lasting, you know, it's not even like a chip or anything. These particular arms, you can adjust them up here just by screwing them. I think these are left-handed, right-handed, something like that. And all it does is just extends and contracts the mounting point. And you just gotta play around with it, and this is really just coming down to alignment, where one pushes the other and all that. This right here is too far this way, so once we get into the car, we're gonna have to play with the alignment. All right, you guys are probably sick of me rambling, so let's put this together. I'm not gonna put the bolts for the axles just yet because they're still drying, but I need to put this together so I can wheel it out. I am kind of doing it in the middle of a living room because it's freaking cold out. Just the perfect time to work on a car. So here's my cotter pin. I'm not going to bend this out because I kind of want to put this all together so I can have better leverage to torque this out. This is going to have a high amount of torque. As you guys remembered, I ended up having like I don't know, what was it, like a 10-foot extension to try to crack this nut. But anyway, so I ended up just getting a new nut just in case. So we got some new bolts. You're gonna need 4 of them. These are going to be for your hub. That's it. And this is just your wheel hub dust cover cap. My car didn't have this, so definitely getting the full treatment this time. I am going to put some Loctite. Now we can move on to installing this. Now I'm trying to figure out the best way to show you, but let's just put you here for now. And then I'm gonna come back and show you around. So this is pretty simple. This is going to have to fit through here. You might need that persuasion tool. This blow hammer, it's basically just plastic, so it's good on the paint or any finishes. Now, because I coated this with the chassis coat, but it's really like a rubber coating that we did, might have a bit of an interference fit. Worst case, it's just gonna push some of the coating out, which is, it's fine. I'm not too worried about that, but right now it's a bit of an interference fit to begin with. Basically making a thread on the paint when I have some coverage in there, so this will be okay. There we go. Now I just want to look into the thread, make sure I don't have any big pieces of paint that are going to get stuck in there. And Loctite's still in there, so that's good. Alright, I got the first one started. Let's move on to the second one. Come on. Don't be shy. Come out. Man, how much paint is in there? Alright, so I think the bottom is... yeah, I think the bottom's holding on, so that's good. There you go. It's slipping in there. I guess once I bolt these in, it should close up. There you go. Hopefully you guys can see. So we're basically just bolting these down crisscross so you can finish pulling the hub in with minimal damage to the coating that you have there. And now for these bolts, you're supposed to torque them down between 58 and 72 foot-pounds. So I'm going to choose about 65, somewhere in the middle. That should be pretty happy. Your bearings are in, and so are your wheel hubs. Now admire your work. Good job. So next up, in our quest of finishing this up, we have our axle. So just make sure you have the proper side. And you can do so by just measuring. I already did that side. Just measuring from the wheel hub to connection point to the differential on both sides, and then you'll know which is the shorter side, which is the longer side. In my case, the shorter side is the driver's side, and the longer side is the passenger side. So just check your specific car and what type of axles you're running. Okay, so let's grab our axle. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the knurled and threaded part, and we're gonna stick it through the hub, just being careful not to damage any of the threads or the splines. And then on the other side, this little cup thingy, where the spring is, we're gonna stick in there. Now you wanna match up the holes where the hardware's gonna go. But first, like I said, we're gonna put this side first in here. Just being careful not to damage the whole subframe. It's a little tricky, especially one hand. Let me put you guys on a tripod. So what I'm doing is I'm basically turning the axle. The boot's pretty flexible, so that's my turning point. And then I'm gonna match up the spline before I push it in. There we go, got a nice grab. And on the other side, I'm trying to keep the thread centered, and I'm gonna push. There we go, that's it. And then you can see on the other side, you got that. And you got the washer and the new nut. I'm gonna put the washer in first, then the nut. Now I'm just making it snug. Like I mentioned, I'm gonna torque this down to spec once I get this mounted to a 240. So this is gonna be torqued down to 152 up to 203 foot-pounds. So that's pretty massive. Basically gonna need two bodies on that side and one body on this side. So I'd rather just mount this to the car and then do that. Of course, heavier. So once you get the washer in, then we get the nut, torque it down to spec. Obviously you put some Loctite in there too. And here there's supposed to be what they call an insulator. I don't have that, I've never had it. I can't find one, so I'm not gonna put it in. But if you have it, when you take this out, don't lose it, and put it back in. Next up, we have the adjusting cap. Just goes right on top. And what this does, let me close in for you. You can see that? Yep, perfect. And what this does is it goes into the nut, lines up with the nut, and keeps it together. And then you're just lining up the hole with one of these gear looking spacing areas. So that way you can put the cutter pin. Now I can't do this because I need the nut in there more. But you basically put the cutter pin in there, and then you drop the camera. Sorry. You put the cutter pin in there, and then you bend the legs out. And what that does is prevents, gives you a bit of safety from this coming out like that. Has nowhere to go. So do not forget to put this in, and please replace it. Because once you bend these out, you take the strength out. And last but not least, I think you're supposed to put these caps in. The only thing is I'm not 100% sure if they go on the back or the front or both. So I'm just gonna wait. But for now, we'll leave this here and let's take care of the other side. So like I said, I pivoted from the boot. That way you can rotate it and get into the splines. Now on this other side, remember how you had the spring in here? That's what gives you that cushion. You can even feel it as I'm doing this. So I'm just gonna push that way as far as I can. The other way you can do it is undoing your arms. You know, if you haven't done your arms, it's probably easier, but I have the arms, so I'm just gonna push that way. But make sure you line these up with the holes here. That way it makes it easier. Now because of the hub, you can just turn it until it lines up. So now I can push one side. And that's it. Now I'm gonna turn it. Now it's all lined up. So now once the paint dries on the hardware, I'm gonna put these in together, and you probably wanna put the bolt in this way and the nut on this side. And the nut, you're gonna have the lock washer right behind it. It's gonna be the bolt, the lock washer, and the nut. And then you're gonna torque it down between 25 and 33 foot-pounds. So it helps to have a wrench on this side and then your torque wrench on the other, just to hold it down. So I'll do that once it dries, which I'm not gonna tape it for you guys. I'm sure you know how to do a nut and bolt. But yeah, so now we got our suspension together, well, at least the control arms. We got our axle, we got our wheel studs with our new wheel bearings, so it's gonna sound nice, not grinding, no grinding noises. We have our differential, which I'm gonna drain the fluid once it's in the car because I don't want to risk anything indoors. Got new bushings. We're almost there, guys. So next time, I think we're gonna work on the underbody of the car. Hang on. So yeah, as I was saying, next time we're gonna take care of the underbody of the car. Just want to make sure that we take care of any of the rust, just like we did with everything else. We don't want to put new parts and clean parts on a rusty car. Thankfully, I think some of the rust treatment that I took care of last time being like over 10 years ago, is still holding up. So it shouldn't be that bad. I have to clean the gas tank, take care of the heat shield. The straps should be done, yeah. And then the fun part can begin with the fuel lines, the brake lines, and the dual caliper setup. So I'll catch you guys next time. Like, comment, subscribe, and let me know how you guys are doing. Comment below. Let me know what you're driving or what project are you working on. I'll see you guys then. Bye.